All right, awesome. I am up in the group. I just wanted to jump in here and I wanted to share with you um, the key thing that really helps you continue moving forward so that you don't feel stuck or frustrated where you're at. Because how many of you right now have been feeling like you've either been doing all the same things or what you're trying just isn't working and you're starting to feel stuck, or you're starting to hit an upper limit. So I don't want you to think, because I used to think this, that being stuck meant I was getting something wrong, right? Or I was following the wrong path. And that's not true at all. What happens is that's usually an indicator that you're hitting an upper limit, or there's something new that is really trying to come forward to you in life. So you can really change how you're living or how you're understanding the world around you. And what's happening right now, and I want to make sure everyone's clear on this, is the old way of doing things is no longer going to help you get to where you want to go. Beforehand, before 2020, it kind of worked. You'd get mixed results, but at least felt like you were making progress. Now that's really starting to come to an halt, and we really get to look at how we're spending our time, how we're managing our energy to make sure that we're going down the same path. So the number one way that you can really make sure you're following the correct path is to get into flow, go with the flow. And a lot of people think that it's just like, oh, nonchalant, like whatever happens is happening. It's not a ambivalence. It's not a like, oh, whatever, just allow things to happen around me and I'm not going to co-create with what's going on around me. What it means is you really get to learn how you create, or how you get to show up in the world. Like what makes you you, beyond maybe any job title, any social description, gender description, anything that you've used in the past to really describe yourself. I know for me, even right now, it's mother, wife, entrepreneur. In the past, it used to be, pricing analyst. That used to be how I would describe myself. Trying to like give the person like the essence of who I am. But like that isn't who you are. That is not what you do, or how you see yourself fitting into society, or where like the normal structure of how you would describe yourself isn't necessarily who you are. I want you to get down to your essence, because that is really truly who you are and how you're going to be able to determine if you are truly going with the flow. What has helped me, and what I've always found highly impactful for me, is grouping things into three. So finding three words that describes you and your essence. And I'll give mine for example. So what really describes my essence is joy, freedom, and wisdom. And using that framework. So like even think of it like a triangle, right? It forms this triangle, the shape that you get to move through. And if you think of like even like a musical triangle, like if you're hitting all three of those sides, it's making a tone, it's making a sound, it's actually resonating. You can feel that reverberation in the space around you. It might also have some reverberation if you're hitting two, but it's not going to really hit that full range of sound if you're not hitting them. And of course, if you're not hitting any of them, it's not going to resonate. So in order to go through the flow and really start making that impact that you want, getting clear on, what direction you want to go in, is you really need to get clear on what your essence is. It's even thinking about, what lights you up? How do you respond to situations? Thinking of things that have happened in your past that have gone well, have worked out. Maybe even for some people, how did you do that? How are you able to create this? What did you bring to the table beyond what the steps that you did? It's more of how did you show up? What did you bring? How did you think about the situation? How did you approach it? How did you come to the outcome without sitting down and maybe giving like a linear steps of what happened. Because what I'm seeing right now and what I'm describing is, one, like there's a masculine way of doing things. And it's definitely like we still need that masculine drive, that masculine energy to move things forward. But that's not the first step, but that's a lot of the places where most of us start. It's the logic. It's the 1, 2, 3 steps. It's follow this process, and you'll get your object out at the other side. And like even what I've been noticing in myself is ways where like I'm still bringing that energy into how I'm creating, how I'm moving through my life, how I'm manifesting things in my life. And when I'm approaching it from that side first, really noticing how it's no longer working. It feels very heavy. It feels very awkward. There's a lot of push. There's a lot of force, a lot of energy, and like almost zero return, to the point where it's like what am I doing? I don't even understand what's going on. Let me know if you can relate to that, because I know many other people have been experiencing that as well. And that's why, what we're really needing to focus on is moving into the flow, the more feminine way of moving through things. That's applying like your intuition, knowing your essence or learning your essence, getting curious about what that is, how you get to show up, what that means, how you get to create with it. For me, initially joy kind of took me as a shock, because that's something that I shied away from. Not because, obviously like I like being joyful, but it was more of, will people take me seriously? Was I getting enough stuff done? Like, these are the things that were kind of going through my head. Was it appropriate? Worrying about other people, like, can I be joyful when, other people, don't seem to be so joyful at the moment? But it's really like honoring and noticing that, whenever like I would create something amazing in my life, or something that, would create other things that also would be bringing a lot of joy to other people, like those three things, joy, freedom, and wisdom, those were all the keys that I used to really move the needle, create what I wanted, create like spectacular things that I wasn't even aware of, that I may not have even like thought was possible in the moment. So when you start getting clear on that, like really noticing, who are you? And yours might be very similar to my three, that may be very different. It doesn't matter really like what those three are, but it's more of a curiosity and getting to know yourself, getting to know like what your mission here is, what your purpose is. A lot of time people think purpose is, well, my purpose is like to do XYZ task, right? Like I need to, create this business, or I need to develop this program, or I need to get to this position. That's like that's a masculine thing. That's like something that you can like easily identify. What I'm talking about is your essence. Like if you get to that position, like what is the energy you're bringing to that position? If you're creating this new program, what is this program? What is it bringing to the world? If you're creating your own business, like what is that essence that is flowing through you that is allowing that business to come into the world? And usually that's like, these are the things that we always put last, right? That, we put after our to-do list. Like if we get all of our things done, we can do this. I used to be that way. But the thing is like, it's more important now to really focus on the flow aspect, really allowing yourself to create with ease, with grace. You feel peaceful. You know who you are, what you're here to do. You no longer feel guilty or shameful for like bringing that essence forward. And it's more like it's erupting from you. There no longer is force. There is no longer pressure. But I also don't want you to confuse it with, like that ease and grace and that movement as being easy, right? It's simple. It is so simple, but our humanness comes up, right? Where we start to like either second guess ourselves or doubt what we're capable of, or even question, is this possible? Is what I'm trying to accomplish, is it even possible? And that's where it's like, again, coming back into that flow, noticing when you're starting to like pop out, like separate yourself from that feminine essence, because what is really required is rooting yourself in the feminine essence so you can start to create. That doesn't mean you're not doing anything. For a long time here, it's been really focused on one or the other, right? We're either doing one or the other. And it's a very dualistic planet. But now we really get to merge, we really get to marry. And part of the reason why this feels so new to us right now is because we've been ignoring the feminine for so long. There's a lot of things where it's dismissed as unimportant. Or have you ever heard this where sometimes like you have this intuitive hit, and what I mean by that is you're having fun, you're not worried about any problem, you're not trying to solve anything, and then an idea just like pops in your head, or a thought pops in your head of like, oh, this would be something fun to do, or oh, hey, like we should go here on the way home. There's no logic to it, right? There's no reason like why you should. But sometimes like it's easy to dismiss that as, oh, like that was just a silly thought, like that's not important, and going back to like your day to day. But what I want to ask you and what I want to encourage you, especially if you're in a place where you feel like you're in a rut or you're stuck, or you feel like you're spinning your wheels, like you're putting out of a lot of energy, a lot of effort, a lot of time towards something that you truly want, but it doesn't feel like you're really getting to where you want to go. Start focusing like on your inner landscape, on those ideas, on those thoughts that just spontaneously pop up, starting by even declaring that not taking any action until you get that inspired information, and taking action from that place and starting to see like where that goes. And that might test your faith a little bit, especially if you haven't lived your life, really honoring that, like that side of yourself. Because I know like we can get stuck in the brain quite a bit, and we can start, and let me know if like you can relate to this, where where you feel like if you're trying to wait for that inspiration, like the more you notice it's not there, you start to notice it's not there and try to force it to come through, or start to get worried that things aren't popping through. That's just a test of your faith and your ability, and really allowing yourself to move through life in this new way. Because honestly, this is where we get to go. Like this is where we get to learn and really get to hone in on like how we get to show up. We get to bring ourselves fully to the table, knowing that like we are co-creating with everyone around us. And the only way we truly get to move forward is if we truly bring ourselves. Because if you're trying to create something but you're leaving like half of the tools behind, or a third of the tools behind, you're not going to be able to create this thing that wants to come through. I was blessed with, having a baby almost, last year in June, and really seeing like, again, that creation process. Like I wasn't sitting down every day thinking, okay, well, today, like I'm working on the skeletal system, and the next day, oh, now I'm working on the nervous system, or all those steps it takes like to like make a baby. Like that wasn't part of my cognitive mental process. My body was just creating it, just enjoying the process, nourishing myself, nourishing my baby. Like that is all that was required, like to have the baby and bring him through to the world. So if you're thinking of like any other any other thing that you want to create or you want to do. Like creation is like anything that you're doing, right? Anything that you want to do or you want to see in the world around you. Like bringing more of that aspect through you. Like as you're moving through your day, like all these things are getting put together. You don't necessarily need to know how. You might not necessarily have to be the one like doing the thing, but it's all getting created. It's all coming through. It's all moving through like in a cycle at its own time. And eventually, you know, the thing will be born, the baby will be born, the program will be born, you know, the new position, you know, will arrive. But but the doing isn't necessarily going to be what gets you there. It's really going to be honoring yourself and allowing it to move through you. And that requires you to bring all of yourself and getting into the flow. And, you know, it can be scary at times. I know when I first started this journey and really starting to play around with, you know, honoring my intuition, honoring my inner state, really trusting like that was more real than what I was seeing around me. It was scary at times, and it comes in waves. Like you're always going to get to a point where you're going to be asked to grow to the next level, and it can feel scary, and you can doubt yourself, and trust that the next step is coming. Trust that you have everything that you need to move forward. Trust that you will know like where you get to go. So the more you practice really coming into alignment with this flow state, which is like the creation like peace within yourself that you get to align yourself with, that you know that consists of your essences, the easier it'll be like once you get to that growth, like that growth point, which shows up as stuckness, it shows up as frustration, it shows up as you know, basically things like feeling like they're just staying the same, right? Like nothing is changing, even though you may want it to. Staying from that point and knowing that like the more you practice anything, right, the easier it gets. You know, just like any physical practice, like yoga, you know, you start out with and it can be hard and it can feel daunting at first, but the more you practice it, the more you kind of learn how to move, you know, with your body, how it feels in your body. You know, and then the beautiful thing is, you know, especially as being a woman, you know, and giving birth, all of a sudden, like your body changes. And then you get to relearn everything again. But the way we think of sometimes of this growth, you know, or at least how like I've been taught to think of it in the past, which hasn't been helpful, has really been, it seems at first almost like you're taking a step back, right? Like you're either trying to repeat something or something is being taken away. But really what it is it's adding this new layer, this new understanding, this new bit of wisdom that you really get to embody, that you get to move through. And you start to notice after a while that nothing has really moved backwards. It really has moved forwards. So again, practice, like continually practice that. Notice your intuition, write it down. I know like I used to keep a journal and write down all these things that I just felt were coincidences, right? Things that would catch my attention, you know, something either that I was thinking about, and all of a sudden I start seeing all these things, or, you know, things that I just wanted to learn more about. And all of a sudden, you know, you'd start seeing all these emails or advertisements for like how to learn about the thing. Just start like writing them down. Just start noticing these coincidences, because that's going to help boost not only your confidence, but your faith that there's something more than just what you can see that you can rely on, that your intuition really is there to help you move with the flow, that you are guided, that you have all the support that you need around you already. It's just building that muscle, building that opportunity to really trust and know that you are supported and you get to move down the path that you want, that you get to have everything that you desire. So I'd love to hear how it goes. Let me know. Post in the comments like what starts coming through, what you've noticed. how things move, even how you start to feel, or like what your essences are. I'd really love to know. We'll talk to you next week. Bye.